Sigmas are the new alphas. Yes, I said it. Sigma males are the new alphas. You know, the alpha male era is dead. You know, I know a couple of years ago, people were always talking about alpha males and stuff like that. Be an alpha, be an alpha. But now I feel like it's kind of cringe these days. I think it's kind of cringe to like calling yourself an alpha male, right? Like I feel like even me just talking about this right now, it sounds pretty cringy. I'm not even gonna lie, but even though it's cringy, I'm gonna share with you something I just thought of, right? Something that I think is kind of interesting. You know, I think that the alpha male era is dying. I think no one wants to be an alpha male anymore, right? And I don't think being an alpha makes sense in today's world, right? And I think the better approach is to be a sigma male, right? Now, bear with me here, because sigmas, they have all the benefits of the alpha male, right? But they also lack like the things that make alpha males kind of cringy, right? And I'm gonna go into a little bit about what that is that makes them so cringe. But before I do that, I just want to say, make sure you book a one-on-one coaching call. If you're looking to get in great shape, you're not really sure how, you need some guidance, hit the link in the description and we'll see if it makes sense to work together. But back to schedule programming. And yeah, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, a little shameless plug for those of you guys that need it. But back to schedule programming. So the thing about alpha males is that they actually crave hierarchy. They crave hierarchy. They crave validation and power and status, right? You know, you hear people, like a lot of people in the whole manosphere, high value man space, they talk about, oh, be like an alpha high value guy, you know, chase status, chase clout, like, you know, hierarchy type stuff. But if you really look at it for what it is, they're doing it because they're seeking approval from society, right? Whereas sigma males, they don't seek approval from society. Here's the kicker here. So sigmas and alphas do the same thing. They chase the money, they get after the money, they get after the status, and they try to jump the hierarchy, right? But they do it for different reasons. See, alphas do it for the reason of they go up the hierarchy because they want validation from society, which is kind of weak if you think about it. But sigmas, they're doing it because they're chasing freedom. You see the difference? Alphas chase freedom, alphas chase validation, sigmas chase freedom, right? Because sigma males, they want freedom. They chase to become free from like the quote unquote matrix. They want to seek freedom from the constructs of society, right? They gather up all these resources. They gather up power, jump the hierarchies and status and money and all these type of things. They do it for the sake of freedom so that they can be able to manipulate the rules of the game, right? They don't care about the status they gain in the process. They don't care about the validation they get in the process. They just care about being free, right? They care about becoming financially free and like putting themselves in a position to where no one can tell them anything, right? Where alphas just do it because they just want to be the big dog. They just want to be the guy in charge, right? They want to be the ones to get that validation, right? They want to be the king, right? But the sigmas are really just choosing freedom. And I think that's a better approach. Like I talked about before, it's like with the sigmas, it's really, they have all the attributes of an alpha male, whereas like they're confident, they're dominant, right? They're their own man, but it's just the purpose of why they're on their mission. The purpose of their mission was different, right? Like I mentioned before, right? And I'm going to go into an example. Like, for example, with Batman, you know, he's, for example, would be considered like a sigma male because he's more like to himself. He only cares about like, he doesn't care about status. He doesn't care about power or anything like that. He is literally, you could argue that he's chasing freedom, right? Because, you know, he's a billionaire. He's free to do whatever he wants. He's, you know what I mean? He's strategic, so he's ahead of the game so that he can manipulate the rules of the game, right? And here's another thing about sigmas is that when people think of sigma male, you think of someone who's like antisocial and quiet, but I think that's couldn't be far from the truth. I think these guys also know how to manipulate time and place, right? When it comes to social settings and social situations, they're able to enter those areas. Like if you look at Batman, for example, when he's Batman, he's kind of like, you know, dark, brooding and, you know, antisocial. But when he's Bruce Wayne, he's able to like connect with everybody and be like this charismatic social butterfly when the situation requires him to be, right? And, you know, because I think people get the wrong idea of a Sigma male. They think you got to be a weirdo when you put your hoodie up and you lift weights all the time. And like, I mean, sure, you like should be jacked, but like, you think they're these weirdos that put their hoodie up and antisocial? Nah, bro. Like, Sigmas and Alphas actually look very similar. They look alike. It's just the intentions behind the two is different. Right? And it also really ties back well to the whole theme that I try to push about recreating yourself, right? When you recreate yourself, it's about creating a character that commands attention, never bores the audience, right? Recreating yourself is about, you know, you're able to transform yourself into recreating yourself is also about being able to transform yourself depending on the situation, right? Becoming what the situation requires you to be, right? That's why you got to recreate yourself constantly because, for example, maybe you're in a situation where it requires you to be social. You got to network in a bit. You got to network with people. You got to be able to be charismatic, suave. You know, some situations you may need to say less than necessary, right? You're a little bit more quiet, right? You recreate yourself depending on what the situation requires. And that's what Sigmas are really good at. They're good at recreating themselves, you know, so that they can mold into different situations that require certain different personality traits. You see what I'm saying here? Being an alpha, it's a more like, you know, you want to be the loudest guy in the room. You want to be obnoxious and I'm king of the castle and this is loud and abrasive, right? But I think Sigmas is more like, they're actually a lot more intelligent because they're chasing more freedom while Alphas are screaming and shouting for validation. But the Sigmas are more chasing freedom. They're more chasing financial freedom. They're chasing all the freedoms that the masculine yearns for. They're chasing after freedom so that they don't have to be told what to do. They kind of are able to manipulate the rules of the game. They're strategic, right? These guys are like the chess masters, right? They're doing it for different reasons. They're actually more intelligent with their approach, right? And that's really all I had to say for today, man. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you book that one-on-one coaching call if you're looking to get in shape and you're not sure how you need help doing that. And send this to someone who needs to hear it. And remember, there's nothing lightning while playing slow. I'll catch you guys next video. See ya.